The pundits have got comments from your martial arts abilities, or the lack thereof. Fly me over, and I'll take them one at a time. And all kind of bullshit. But anyway, a couple that from and some of these are in emails. They don't respond to the YouTube, but the negativity is coming out, which is not that unusual. Now, over the night, Stephen, not that I need any validation, but a new study by 4 million scientists and 3,000 Nobel, I'm exaggerating the numbers, 3,000 Nobel laureates and bullshit, and it's about scientists acknowledge critical errors in study of how fast the oceans are warming. Unfortunately, we made mistakes. And it goes on to say, it's a load of fucking shite, global warming. It's a load of shite. And they apologize. After Al Gore's got $380 million in his pocket. But more importantly, this article about one of my mentees who goes to Penn from bumfuck Tennessee, illiterate, signed it, I'm exaggerating, illiterate James Goins, who signed his name with an X. He's now going to the same school that the president went to. And how he's a leader among men. James bumfuck Goins. And who's going to be at the hardcore? He's already been in the seminar once while he was on active duty. And he has a whole bunch of guys that want to jump from the jet with me. In fact, that's who, when he was in Afghanistan or whatever, they flew the quantum QLA flag as a... They're killing the fucking ragheads. They're blowing them up. They're disintegrating them. One of the happiest moments of my fucking life. I wish I could have been there with him. Because QLA works for just about everything. And QLA is just letters that signify commitment, sacrifice, focus, and there's 5 or 6 other words, adjectives. And that's essentially what it is. And it has been. And before I got thrown out of Great Western Resources back in January 1992, and then I reversed engineered during the rest of 92 and part of 93 of how I turned $820 into $450 million. And I didn't know about the ends justify the means and getting comfortable and all the things that we've been going through. I didn't know those words. I had to put labels on what I had done in hindsight or in retrospect, or retrospectively, as the word is. But what it is, and when you go back and you see some of the world-class athletes and the Olympians and some of the people, Henry Ford I, Attila the Hun, he saw himself ruling the world, and I mean, envision and all those things. He used to dream about, being the conqueror of the world, and he also dreamt about this Attila the Hun and Genghis Khan, dreamed about being a god, and I haven't stretched that far yet. I'm sure I'm still young enough that I'm sure my god phase will come before they put dirt on me. And but I mean, the god phase, we're about to talk about Elon, has touched these guys. Bill and Elon and Steve Jobs and some of these other fellows, they do believe they walk on water. And, don't confuse me with the facts. I may be wrong, but I'm never in doubt. They all have the same, not 100% the same, but more or less, plus or minus 10%, they have the same attitude that they don't give a fuck what you think, what you say, what you feel about them. That they have 100%. President Trump is in that category. He doesn't give a fuck. He's going to slightly give a fuck as he's trying to get reelected. But after he's reelected, fuck. He's going to do some shit like you two fucking simpleton retards, you don't have a fucking clue. You might as well pack your motherfucking bags and go to Venezuela or fucking someplace. He's going to rip the world apart. He's going to stick his hand so far up the ass of the world, and he's going to pull the fucking tonsils out, back down. And he's just going to keep doing it. You have no fucking idea. And I know exactly what he's going to do. And it couldn't be more perfect for us. We're going to be riding that forearm up and down, up and down, up and down. And every time we get up to the top and we see the finger, we're going to pull some gold and fucking platinum back down again. We're going to rape the world in a good way. We're going to rape the fucking world. We're going to be the fifth horseman of the apocalypse. Where's the fucking, right down there. That's it. Sticking our dick in every orifice that we can get it in a good way. And if you can figure out a good way, let me know. But but it sounds better in a good way. It's God's will. Why should fucking the guy from turned 20 grand into 20 million in 10 months? If it wasn't God's will, how could he do that? You don't know anybody else other than winning the lottery or something, and that's got to be God's will, or somebody's will, or the devil's will, or maybe the devil's will. How you turn 20 grand into 20 million in 10 months. And for those that have been in the program, Bill and Bert, 10 months, 20 large ones. Now, in regular parlance, a large one is what? $100, $1,000? When I say 10 large, what does that mean? What? A grand? Well, whatever a million is, you got 20 larger ones. Larger ones. But I mean, when I see this thing about Goins at Penn, and I was not the man of the year, but they're writing articles about him. I still remember at Honolulu Airport when we land, I believe it was an E4 then, in the Air Force, and he brought a buddy of his, that was an E6, who never came to the seminar, who had 19 years in, I think, and he couldn't contemplate, leaving. Coming to the seminar doesn't mean you're leaving with a year left for retirement, but anyway, he couldn't. And I remember walking, I was looking for the kid, and I knew he was black, I think I knew he was tall. I didn't know he was tall and skinny, but they had a booth at the airport. They had 5 NCOs, non-commissioned officers, from E5 to E8. They were in the booth, and they were welcoming military. I got lost or some shit. They come to the booth and say, "Where do I go? Where's Hickam Field?" I guess. So I went over to the NCOs, and there was a guy there, maybe 25, 30 years in the military, and there was E5. There was maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years in the military. And I said, what are you guys doing here? And, we're here to welcome military as they land. Is it just Army? No, we welcome everybody. 5 of you. That typical Army deal. You need 5. 5 of you. Yeah. He says, and then the older guy, the E8, which is the second highest for NCO, he said, Yeah, the kids aren't like they used to be. We got to hold their hand, and sometimes we got to put them in a Jeep or in a bus and take them to Hickam Field, or we got to take them to their duty station. You got to take them. And then the second oldest guy was laughing. He says, yeah. He says, you serve? I said, yeah, I told him when. He said, a long time ago. And after we got through the stuff, thank you for your service, back and forth. And then I stood back and watched them military guys come up there. Gee, this is a big airport. And Honolulu Airport's not a big airport. But when you're from Bungfuck, Mississippi, it's a big goddamn airport. And but anyway, then I met Goins there. And that was the beginning of the relationship. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. And now he's been at the seminar once. He's come to the hardcore, and he just finished his deployment to the Middle East, where he sent me that flag. And now he's at Penn. And some of the kids, I say, go to school. And he was one of them. But if you're in the first year of university, I normally say drop out. Or if you haven't gone to school, I normally say don't start. And a lot of parents hate me. If you're in the second year of a 3-year program, finish. If you're in the third year of a 4-year program, finish. Or if you're, halfway through your master's degree or halfway through your PhD or something, I say finish. But if you're in your first year of medical school, forget about it. I mean, the medical school and the residency and all that takes too long. You can do a lot of good damage in those years. But he was a guy that I felt strongly. And I'm exaggerating, James, but since he signed his name with an X, I thought that I knew that he would be better off. And I don't know. We'll see at the hardcore, James, if you still want to save the fucking world. I hope not. But anyway, we'll see. And Penn is a liberal school. It's Ivy League school. It's a liberal school. And I think I mentioned when he came to the Boston talk, I didn't even recognize him. And Sally said, how come you didn't say hello to Goins? I didn't recognize him because you look like a fucking hippie student. Don't be coming dressed like that, James. I mean, you better be wearing the pinstripe uniform. But I get great thrill out of that. Okay, what did you see last night?
Signs of fear.
Fear response.
Well, I mean, we could do a case study. We could do 15, 20 case studies of signs of fear from you right here. I mean, I could just film you, in 5, 6, 7 minutes, and you could tell. Okay, what are some of the takeaways? Signs of fear. Yes, sir.
It spreads with the other people's pheromones, and if we're in a crowd, I can tell if you guys were afraid, and then I'd be afraid.
Contagious.
Yeah.
Contagious.
Big time contagious. Big time. And what else?
It takes twice as long to get rid of the fear than it is to acquire the new fear.
Yes, sir.
Fear reduces your cognitive ability.
When you say these questions, you sound smarter than you are. I know. I mean, do you study? Are you looking up in Wikipedia and? Okay, go ahead.
That's it. It reduces the ability to think.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Fear can be overcome by exposure.
Correct.
Things that we're afraid of.
Teddy Roosevelt, who was a wuss, one of our famous brave presidents, but he was a wuss in grade school, grammar school, and people used to bully him around. And so when he became commander-in-chief, he said, well, I got to get rid of this shit. So he said that, well, I ought to be able to, if I put myself in fearful situations time and time again, I'll get rid of this wussiness I have. And so that's why he charged up San Juan Hill during the Spanish-American War, I believe it was. And he gets some criticism because he was on a horse going up San Juan Hill and everybody else is on the ground. And he wanted to be able to see where the men were so he could deploy them. Well, he had like 70 or 80 bullet holes in his saddle, in the plume, in his hat, because he used to dress like Napoleon Bonaparte, okay? And his chaps and his flowing jacket had 70 or 80 bullet holes. And when he got done, and it was a successful battle, they won. He said, well, this ain't so bad. Well, he got what's commonly referred to in combat as Jesus Christ syndrome. When the bullets are flying and you're not hit, it's Allah's will. It's somebody's goddamn will, for sure. And so he did that a few times. And another guy that was a wuss, a pussy, a walking cunt was Churchill. And so he did something similar. He volunteered first to be a war correspondent, got captured, escaped. He might even got captured again, escaped. And then when in combat, when he was relieved of Admiral, Lord of the Admiralty or whatever, when in Galapagos, yeah, and he got all those people killed. Then he volunteered to be an officer in the front, and he was, I believe, started as a company commander, and then he became a battalion commander. And there's countings when people are standing with him, the bullets are flying, and he's standing there smoking his cigar and probably drinking his champagne. It's estimated he had over 80,000 bottles of champagne. The same champagne that we serve you is Churchill's champagne. 80,000 bottles in his life. Now, that's a lot of fucking champagne. And was he always juiced? It sounds like he was always juiced. Now, in the beginning, they say the stories are, it's because they gave him Dutch courage. Dutch courage is they used to give you alcohol before you went into battle. In the Navy, they give you rum, a ration of rum. Dutch courage. So he was a wuss that found throwing himself into fearful situations. And that's why I tell you, do something to scare yourself every day. And when I've told you just a handful of the crazy shit that I did, again, I was trying to be like my dad, who I knew had big balls and a hero, blah, 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 blah. And I did crazy shit from, when I was a little kid and threw myself into a lot of crazy situations. Yes, sir.
Do you have any rituals you do before any meetings?
Well, not now. When later today and tomorrow, other than dry your hands before you go into the meetings, because many of you are going to be perspiring. And by the way, when you're nervous, you pee. You know why you're peeing so much, you guys? Even the gangster brothers, it's because they're nervous and you're nervous. And you Google fuck it, and your body creates more urine. Do you see me have to pee? No. I've never peed one time during the seminar other than the breaks. I have to force myself at the break. I should pee because I don't want to pee. Nothing about, okay. When you're nervous, you pee. Tough guys. Your body's telling you. But other than dry your hands, I used to, so I could get my energy up, I used to slap myself. But sometimes I'd slap myself so hard, it looked like I had red marks on my face. So I stopped doing that. So you know how you see fighters go like this? Hit their muscles, that they're getting the blood and the adrenaline going. I used to use that. And I used to jump up and down, do some jumping jacks. Normally in the elevator, I'm going up to the meetings, and the people look at me, what are you looking at? But I was born ready, really. I was born ready. Yes, sir.
So is it
What piece is this?
This psychological versus physical fear. So there's a difference between doing like a race or doing some big athletic.
Correct.
And then the psychology.
Well, I mean, for a race, you're preparing ostensibly for weeks, months, etc. Okay, YouTube.